Hello YouTube world out there, this is Rob for Films and this is my first video of 2020, because it's January 1st. I didn't waste any time this time. This time I didn't waste any time? I don't know, whatever I said. It's been almost 1 year since my very first Final Cut Pro X tutorial for beginners, for the total beginner actually. This is video I think 14, animating texts, objects, and video without knowing a single thing about keyframes. This is completely done within the timeline, but you may learn a little bit about keyframes along the way. Hopefully, that's what these are for, to learn stuff. That's the whole point. You should be learning something. If you are not a beginner user and you already know this, then that's cool. Just skip this video. However, you may learn a little something from it because maybe I do it different than you do. Open up your handy dandy Mac and I'm going to go to Final Cut Pro X. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you how to animate that little sequence I made earlier in the introduction. Okay, so it's this sequence here. Animating texts, objects, and video. All right, so it's that simple. There's just three things that I'm using there. I'm using a title file for the text. I have an object or a PNG file that has my logo on it. And then I have an old piece of my video from the SoundCloud rapping days that I'm using there as an add-on. I've already have those there, so I'm just going to use those. Start out by choosing our end point. So I know that the first thing I want to do, our very first thing here, is going to be the title screen. So I used something really simple. I just went over here and used custom and drag that down right there. I know I want it to pop up there. Okay. Okay, so to pop up about right there. I'm going to go in and change a few things. I'm going to change the font. I think I like the Meloric is what it was called. Yeah, Meloriac, I guess. I'm going to change the size, make it a little bigger, and then I'm going to type in Rob for Films. Might be a little big. All right. At this point, everything we're going to use is going to be in, get rid of that so we have more room to see, and I'll get rid of that so we have more room to see. Okay, so everything that we're going to use is going to be in the timeline, or it's going to be in the transform tool. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this after I've clicked this part, which is my text file, and my transform tool right there. I'm going to grab this and put it up here right next to where my finger's pointing. Okay, so now if I were to watch this, I should see that text. It's popping just a little quick. I'm going to move it just a touch. Animating text. I like that. And I'm going to go ahead and finish off about where this needs to be. Objects. Okay, so I know that at that point that's off the screen, so I can just go ahead and end it there. Okay, just drag and cut it early. You can use Command B if you want, but for Blade. Objects. That one is set, and so I'm going to go ahead and set my other two, and then I'm going to show you how to animate them. So very quickly, I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to find these two files. They're right here. I'm going to drag this one down, and I know that I want it, I want to resize it just like I did the previous one by using the transform tool and get something usable, something in that range. And I know that I want it when the other finger pops up, right there. So I want it to come in there. Let's see how that looks. Text. Objects. Okay, it pops up at the right time. Now I just need to move it where I want it. And there we go. So now we'll try it again. Text. Objects. That's pretty close. I'm going to move it just a touch. Objects. There we go. I like that. And the same thing, it's off the screen at that point. I'm going to just go ahead and drag it. They're both off the screen at that point. Objects. Okay. And then now I'm going to put my video in as well.
And video.
And since I don't have my hands there yet, I think I'm going to go ahead and start it just a little early. And that's this little piece of video that I have here. And I know that it's definitely going to be gone by the time my hands are at the end of this. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that extra piece there. No sense in having an extra file to work with. All right, same thing here. I'm going to have it resized. And I'm going to resize it, something usable. I'm just going to put it in the middle. And let's see where my, so I want to start it right there when it's at the top of my hands.
And video.
Okay, so I'm going to have it come in just a little later. My hands come in. I think I'll do it right there.
Video.
There we go. All right. So all of my pieces are in there. Very good. Okay. And then I'm going to push it down. Okay. So all of our pieces are sized and in the right place. That's step number one. That's what I wanted to do. And again, you might be not doing 2 or 3 of these at a time. You might just be doing 1, and that's great. I just happen to want to do 3 of them and to really get through to you how this works. I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to start with this guy, okay? So I know that I'm going to select him, and then I have the transform tools already on, okay? So I want it to come in and start to change right. I'm only looking at the Rob for Films text file right now. I'm not worried about the other one. And so right there, as my hands start moving, I know that I'm going to push it out, okay? So it's going to go right there, move. And so at that point, I'm going to click this little guy right here in the corner, okay? Hope you can see that up there in the middle. And I'm going to click him. And now he's clicked. Now I've got my endpoint is set. Now I need my out point. So I know that my hands reach the edge of the screen right there. So now I'm just going to drag this guy off screen, and you can see that little arrow with the red line. That's connecting those 2 shots. So I'm going to pull that off. There we go. Now if I play this back,
text, objects,
I just pushed it off. Okay, so it looks like my hand's pushing it off. All right, so same thing on this other file. I'm just only going to pay attention to this guy here, and as soon as my hand starts pushing away, right there, okay, so right there, I'm going to set my endpoint, and then when my hand's off the screen right there, I'm going to set my out point. And same thing, it's got the little red line with the arrow, and I'm going to throw him way over there. So now if I were to watch this back, I have
texts, objects.
I pushed them right off the screen. All right? And so what they're doing is they're actually creating keyframes. But we don't have to know that's what they're doing. We're just setting in points and out points. It's super easy.
Objects.
All right? We can set multiple in points and out points within the same piece of footage as well. This next one's going to be a little more tricky because I didn't have a really smooth motion when I was pushing this down. It's my own fault for making it more difficult, but there's no reason to really re-record it. I can just kind of add a few more ins and outs to the video. And so I'm going to do that by pressing the arrow button on my keyboard, and it's going to let me go frame by frame. Okay, so now I know there I'm in frame, and so I want to start kind of, I think I stop in that general area, and now I'm starting to lower. So I'm going to set my first one right there, okay, and then I'm going to frame down and follow my hands and have this video follow down as well. So I'm going to press the arrow, or I'm going to arrow forward, frame by frame, and there's a little bit of movement there. So now I can grab this guy and drag him down just a little bit. I want to kind of keep him where my hands are at the bottom of my hands. Same thing. Another one, grab him, drag him a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to keep doing this. Drag him a little bit more, drag him a little bit more. I'm starting to gain momentum, and so in a minute I'll be able to push him a lot faster. A little bit more. and I'm going frame by frame at this point. A little bit more. Okay, I'm moving pretty good. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull him off here. And so when my hands reach the bottom of the screen, right there, I'm going to go ahead and just pull him down out of the way, off the screen. So let's see how that looks. Yep, that worked. So now we have
text, objects, and video.
Pushed it right out of the way. So it's easy as that, guys. It's just moving it once you've set your first keyframe. And that's what's going on. Now, there's a little bit more going on here, and I promised I would teach you kind of basically what a keyframe was. And so I'm going to do that now. So if you were to go in, and the easiest way to get to these for me is just to right-click and go to Show Video Animation. And we see right here, that these little things right here are keyframes. And you can manually put those in. This is not the video for that. It's Option K for those of you that care. But other than that, they're there. Same here. I'm going to show video animation. And there's one there, and then there's going to be a bunch on this one because we made quite a few. Show video animation. And you're going to see all of these little guys right through here. We could go in and manually make those, or we can just simply move through the timeline and drag a photo. I feel like this is way easier unless you really need to tighten something up. This is pretty much the way I do that. You can still go back and drag these keyframes up and down right here in the timeline, or you can go over here and drag them up and down here and move them where you want them. But overall, those keyframes are literally easier to do in the timeline, especially for a beginner, I think. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this tutorial video. Hope you learned a lot about animating without really knowing a lot about keyframes within Final Cut Pro X. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. If you think you would like some future content, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the little bell. It'll notify you when I put another video out there. Either way, have a great new year, and I hope everyone's successful and they learn a lot about video. So until next time, this has been Rob for Films, signing out. Or, I don't know. That sounded cool at the time. See ya.